We brought you this story, I think a couple of years ago, and it was roughly 4 years ago. A veteran at his home, there's an illegal warrant, no knock warrant served. They kick in the door, they kill him. They shoot the man dead. He wasn't involved in any criminal activity. The cops were at the wrong place. A Trump-appointed judge decided to dismiss the suit against the cop who kicked in a random man's home and killed this man as he was bewildered and asleep. Put it up for Manasco. In an update, Don Clark Sr., a black grandfather and Army veteran with a clean criminal record, no issues, was randomly killed by St. Louis police officer Nicholas Manasco in a no-knock raid based on a false warrant, according to a lawsuit filed by his family. But a Trump-appointed lawyer stepped in and said, dismissed. Let me give you a reminder of the case, and I will update you on what happened. Don Clark Sr., a beloved 63-year-old black grandfather, Army veteran, clean criminal record. He was suffering from serious mental health issues, but St. Louis police broke into his home with a no-knock warrant and killed him. The incident took place in 2017. The cop who shot him 9 times claimed he was in fear for his life because Clark pulled out a gun and fired a shot after he was startled awake by almost 24 cops in full military gear invading his home with flash bang grenades and a battering ram. This man is a veteran, U.S. military, dealing with mental health issues. The cops, they have a warrant that never should have been served to that home. They come in dressed as the military, acting like the military, throwing grenades like the military. He thinks he's in combat. He grabs his gun, or he's being broken into. Whatever the case is, he has the right to defend his domicile. It's a constitutional right. You have the right to bear arms. Nothing illegal has happened from him. The only illegal thing that took place is breaking and entering by the police. There's more. So the lawsuit filed after his death states the man known as Pops in the neighborhood, who suffered from poor hearing and fading eyesight, walked with a cane, never pulled a gun, nor did he sell drugs. The lawsuit also accused the cops of fabricating evidence to obtain the warrant, failing to identify themselves as cops when they barged into his home, failing to render aid after they shot him multiple times. Failure to render aid in a position of public trust as a first responder. Let me put that aside just for a moment. No-knock warrants as a policy are adverse and antithetical truly to the mission of law enforcement. And when I posed the question to a cop, this was about 5 years ago, I said, why do you all even do no-knock warrants? Doesn't make sense. It puts a lot of people in danger. He actually said we shouldn't. And he said no-knock warrants, it's kind of a new thing in law enforcement. There was a time there was no such thing as a no-knock warrant. And the reason they started doing no-knock warrants was because people who were selling narcotics, they would flush the drugs down the toilet when the police would knock and identify. And this cop made a really good point. He said, if we've utilized this much officer power and spent this amount of time putting you under surveillance, and you only have the quantity of drugs that you can flush down the toilet between us knocking on the door, giving you 5-10 seconds and kicking it in. If you can get rid of all of your drugs within that amount of time, we're at the wrong house. And that's correct. So that's how it started, but it's been utilized beyond. There's more. So last week, let's put him up, full mass. This is a Trump-appointed judge named Joshua Devine. Joshua, in his judicial providence, decided to dismiss the lawsuit against the city of St. Louis and the 21 cops who participated in the no-knock raid, claiming Clark's family did not present enough evidence to prove the cops fabricated evidence to obtain the warrant. The judge also claimed they did not present evidence that the officer, Manasco, violated, quote, clearly established law by killing Clark after rousing him from his sleep. Keep the judge up. I want you to understand what the judge is doing. The judge is holding the family to a standard typically required from elected prosecutors or an ADA, okay? It's a threshold that you have to provide. The information online is enough for the threshold, to be frank with you. But the way he has decided to categorize what's allowable and not, this would be for a trained attorney. This would be for somebody that's actually prosecuting a case. They're not. This is a civil suit on behalf of the estate of this man. But what Devine did not mention in his 23-page opinion is that none of the cops who broke into Clark's home were wearing body cameras, which seems like a deliberate attempt to suppress evidence, considering they came equipped with flashbang grenades, assault rifles, body armor, a battering ram, and a warrant based on allegations from a confidential informant that turned out to be untrue. But the public still does not know the identity and the motivations of the confidential informant who supposedly tipped them off that Clark was a major drug dealer, which is what led to his death. And it has become common knowledge within the legal industry that confidential informants have a tendency to lie because they're usually accused criminals trying to lessen the charges against them. Snitching is what we call it on Glenwood. According to the police and their use of confidential informants, it has destroyed many innocent lives. The Innocence Project suggests that allegations from confidential informants should be recorded to maintain a record, but considering not a single cop involved in this raid was wearing a body camera, that is probably the last thing cops want when building a case with little or no evidence against the citizen. Now, put the judge back up just for a moment. The pattern of the legality of what happened is questioned by the pattern of cops using the confidential informant who provided misleading or false information that led to the death of a human being, Judge. Which means if the confidential informant acted in bad faith and coordinated with at least one member of law enforcement who also acted in bad faith, but the rest of law enforcement acted in good faith, you only need two people to establish a potential criminal conspiracy. That's your legal threshold, Judge. And I hope to God the family comes back and pushes this case down your throat. All right, Yasmin, thoughts?
Yeah, Doc, we don't even need to look abroad to see who and what this country actually is. We can just look at our own so called law enforcement right here domestically. And if you want to know the values of a place or a nation, you just have to look at the things that they protect and the things that they celebrate, the things that are sanctified. And in this country, unfortunately, it is not justice, even though it should be. We have a Justice Department. It is one of the three pillars of our entire government. But we don't celebrate justice anymore, and we certainly don't pursue it the way that we used to. It is not the sanctity of life that this country cares about. It's the sanctity of authority and power and control above all else. This is like Foucault's panopticon. We spend so much money and time and resources harassing and traumatizing and beating and even killing people who are such low level criminals, or some who are not even criminals at all, while passing laws making it even easier for high level criminals to continue to commit their crimes. In fact, our entire country is now being run by those criminals. Our entire foreign policy is being dictated by these criminals. So, that's what's happening here domestically. And overseas, we are spending right now an estimated $1 billion a day, throwing everything we have into a war that, again, they can give you all the reasons why they're doing it, but really it's being waged in the name of the illusion of power and authority and control. And these are the men who are running our country right now. These are the people who are supposed to be protecting us and doing everything in our name as representatives of us. But instead, they clearly have their own agenda, and they're willing to protect that agenda and pursue that agenda above all else, above our own lives here.
That's right. Well said. Well said. And if there's a glass half full interpretation of all of this, let it be the fact that if you were ever under the illusion that the current construct of government and institution seeks in good faith to universally work on your behalf, you should now be shaken out of that illusion. Welcome to Earth. Welcome to the real world. Now, from that point, change and transformation can take place. But as long as we're under the illusion of inclusion, the illusion of fair play, the illusion of equitable outcome, we never get to the space of transformation. So let that be the benefit of the now, because, well, we will not be denied.